Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to re-interview Maria. So Maria, welcome.
Hi. Hi. Hi, everyone.
So Maria, can you tell us your full type, please?
Yes, so I'm double feminine, SEFI, consume, play, sleep, last, social type number one.
All right. So the cool part about our second interview here is you now know your social type. Um, does that change anything about you knowing what your social type is?
Yeah, so it kind of did knowing my social type, it felt like it was like the missing puzzle, like because I think the 512 explained quite a lot of the things that I was like going through, but then the social type was kind of the last little missing piece, and it's kind of the thing that sort of explained the rest. So it was quite validating, I think, learning that.
Right, right. And then in your group of friends, because you have your SF group, you're the only number one. And last time we spoke to you guys in your big panel, they said that you're the one that was actually pushing for it. Like, hey, let's go do this like group interview. So what is it about being a number one that just wants to like, you know, do stuff?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Like that's the funny thing until Hannah mentioned it in the social. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that actually makes sense. I am doing that. I think it's just a frustration with stagnation. That's what I'm kind of seeing with myself. I just get really, really frustrated if I'm not hitting milestones, if I'm not achieving goals, if I'm not ticking things off. It's just not feeling content with stagnation. I think that's what it is. So it's crazy because it's like the SF show, it's not, we're not paid to do it. It's like completely free. And I feel like the other SFers, they have an appropriate level of chilled when it comes to that. But I think now I'm realizing that with the whole like number one and needing to lighten up, I think I take it a little bit too seriously.
Yeah.
And it feels like when it's stagnating, I just get really, really frustrated. I'm like, we need to get going. We need to move forward with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally relate to what you said about the stagnation thing, like 100%. Like that's how I live my life. I cannot stand the idea of you're not making progress on anything,
Yeah.
you know. Can you share some stories in your life outside of the SF group where you're just almost hyper obsessed that hey, fitness, or it could be fitness, career, it could be dating, whatever it is, like you're just hyper focused at like getting some sort of improvement and achievement.
Yeah. I think it comes up a lot in like my relationships and like dating and stuff. I think early on, when I'm dating someone new, I tend to have just very serious conversations about like, where is this going? What are you doing to improve yourself? And are you aware of what your flaws are and what strengths and weaknesses are? And how are we gonna, use those to kind of help us achieve like mutual goals? And I didn't realize that people weren't having those conversations. And for some people, like dating is supposed to be fun in the beginning. You're supposed to be like chilled and laid back. And I just didn't know that. I thought you were supposed to be having those like serious conversations about progress and strengths and like mutual goals and things like that. But I think what I've realized, because I've been told a lot of times that I need to lighten up. So I think, yeah, it comes up a lot in dating. And then fitness as well, probably. But I tend to do that by myself. I tend to kind of like push myself. I'm in so I play netball, but I'm in a friendly league. It's supposed to be friendly, but I take it really seriously and I get really pissed off and annoyed when we lose, especially when I feel like people aren't really trying hard enough. But it hasn't clicked in my head that this is a friendly league and people they're not supposed to be taking it that seriously, and we don't get paid to do that. But I think I take that even that seriously because I'm like trying to improve my fitness outside of it so I can be like playing as if I'm an actual professional player, but I'm not really doing that. And again, it's like a friendly league, so people just come there most of the time to socialize, and I'm just taking it seriously. I'm like, no, we need to improve, we need to work hard, we need to achieve and all of that stuff. So I can definitely see it coming up in a lot of those different areas.
So a few things. First, your story about the netball thing. I remember when I was in college, I invited a bunch of my classmates to go play basketball just for fun, just for fun. And I remember this one dude in our group, I think he might be a number one, because he was absolutely going nuts on us. He's like, what the fuck? Why are you guys playing at this level? And I'm like, dude, we're just playing for fun. Who cares? He's like, no, you know, and then we're like, okay, let's play a different game. So we start playing tennis, and he did the same thing. He was like,
Yeah.
so I think it's like definitely a number one thing. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's I if it's actually competitive, that I will compete. But this is not a competitive. It's a for fun. We're just hanging out because we're classmates from school. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about the dating stuff. So this is like a two points I wanted to pull out from what you just said about the dating stuff. The first point is, when you're asking that person that you're out on a date with all these questions about like self-growth and achievement, are you trying to filter them, like to see if they're like the right person for you, like to date long term, or is just so that's my first part of the question, okay? And the second part is, you're number one, but you're energy dom, and energy doms are goofy as hell. So, and you said you're taking it too seriously. So when does a goofy side kick in? Because you're still an energy dom at the end of the day. And David Shan said that your ops type, the 512, over, or especially the animals, it takes over the social type. The social type backseat to that. So that means you're more likely to become goofy and playful as opposed to the serious number one, even if you want to be a number one, because that's truly what you want to be. So what do you think about all those different factors?
Yeah, definitely. So I think prior to learning about my social type, I felt like I had a lot of frustration in the dating world because I couldn't meet anybody who was matching my like vibe. So it really, really frustrated me. And then it was only after I realized my social type that I realized that I was like bringing that kind of serious energy to things, and I wasn't, because I just expected that everybody would be like that, because obviously like projecting. So it would just really like frustrate me, and like you know, these are conversations that you should be having. Why are we not having these conversations? And I didn't really understand it. And then obviously learning my social type is like, oh, okay, now I get that some people are number fours, or some people are number threes, and some people are number twos. They don't really think like that. They don't really like on the front end. So in answer to your question, I think it was learning my social type that made me realize, okay, it's not, it is me. It's not them. Some people are just not like that, and that's absolutely okay. And then in answer to your second question, I do filter, but now more actively, whereas before I wasn't really actively filtering it. I was just waiting for people to get to a place where they were thinking like me. But now I do actively filter people. So the energy dom thing comes in after I've ascertained that somebody is kind of has the same mindset. I think once I'm satisfied that somebody's working on something, or you know, has, you know, personal development and all that growth stuff, and that's something that they value, and that's something that they're actively working on, I think I can relax. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I can actually build a relationship with this person so I can be my goofy self. But it's only after I've kind of been able to ascertain that that person is matching that level. Because if they're not, then I'm not going to waste my goofy energy on this person, because it's not going to go anywhere anyway.
Oh, I see. I get it. Because you're still energy dom, so you don't want to waste energy on this person if you know it's not going to go anywhere. So I see. Oh, that's cool. It's really interesting. That's kind of interesting also because I remember watching a video where they interviewed how Mr. Beast was looking for a girlfriend, and he's a number one. And I don't know if you saw that video, but he had like a huge checklist apparently, and you know, growth mindset was definitely on top of this list. It's like, if this person's not growing, they're not achieving, I don't want to be with this person, you know. So would you say your checklist is pretty long, or would you say it's like it's relatively short, but it's like focused on growth? Like,
it was a little bit chaotic before. I had like I had like 12 factors. And then because I recently started following this like relationship guru who gives advice, and she advises people have 5 non-negotiables. So I've reduced it down to 5, and growth mindset and personal development is definitely one of those non-negotiables. So it was a bit long, it's shorter now.
You know, it's interesting because I used to follow another person that's also a number one, Demon Friends, and he said for relationship you should only have 2 non-negotiables. For like really long-term relationship. Like if you don't think
Right.
about really long term, then who cares? But like if it's like really long term, then there should only be two non-negotiable, because ultimately he said relationships has a lot of compromise involved. So if but the cool thing is like even with two, that could cover a lot of bases already, especially if you use your NI. Like growth
Yeah.
mindset, like that is huge, right? The growth mindset plus let's say progress. If you don't have those two, then that already eliminates a lot of problems, because you can fix a lot of problems as long as you have those two, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be for the like the NIs who are really, really good at kind of like covering all bases with one or two concepts. For me, that's a struggle. It was a
Oh,
struggle reducing it even down to five. I was like, but they're all different. They all mean different things. But yeah, I guess if you're a little bit better at like refining things, then you'd be able to cover all bases. But I kind of feel like I have to be specific. And so that's how we ended up with five. That
I see. So it's five sensory, or for this other dude, it's two NI. So two
that's
NI,
what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah, because
I
I can't imagine you would have just two things that are just like that's all you need. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you might have more than two needs. I don't know,
I
but maybe that's just
yeah, I mean it kind of makes sense, but kind of not, because like for you, you're lead sensory, right? So
yeah.
like maybe like two or three of those sensory stuff can be put in the same umbrella. Um, would you mind sharing the five if you don't mind? I don't know if like you're cool with that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So you can help me if I can refine it down to two, then great.
Okay.
So the first one is they have to be attentive, family orientated. So yeah, you can probably guess what that means. The next one, they have to be kind to themselves and also to other people. The next one, they have to be growth mindset. The next one, what was it? They need to be kind of health, I suppose, looking after themselves. So that's kind of like health conscious. And that's not too strict, because sometimes it's not, you don't have to be like a bodybuilder or anything like that, but just be kind of concerned or aware of health, and not kind of a little bit loose on health issues. And then what is that? Is that three? Did I say three? How many did I give?
Yeah.
Three. It's three. Okay. The next one, they have to be, oh, what is my, I actually have it written down somewhere, so I could probably find it because I
Oh,
can't
you
remember.
haven't written it down.
Yeah, I have it written down because yeah, because moments like this when I forget.
Imagine you're on a date, you have like the paper out.
Sorry.
Imagine you're on a date, you have the paper out. It's like
I know. That's so funny.
they'll think you're.
I'm trying to find it now. Sorry, for a second. It is in here somewhere because I can't remember the exact ones. I always forget it. Feminine sensory. But I had to have it written down. I feel like I'm taking some time now. Where is it? Okay. Anyway, so let me try to see if I can. So yeah, growth mindset, health conscious, kind, attentive family man, and then the last one, the last one was they have to be kind of have some interest in like finances and business, not necessarily have to be into that. I know that sounds really specific, but just because I have interest in that, and it would be nice to be able to learn that kind of stuff and help each other in with that goal. So I think all of these, to be honest with you, are just based on my personal like FI value goals that I'm working on.
Right.
So I think that person has to match or just have interest in the goals that I'm working on so that we can kind of help each other.
Would you so one of your criteria was family oriented. You're number one, so your friends last. Are you family oriented or no?
I'm okay. I'm family orientated to the extent that I like family is everything for me. Like that's like those are my number one people, right? But if you follow me around all day, I kind of do keep to myself quite a lot. So I think I'm family orientated to the extent that my priorities are always related to family. So if I have my own family or just my immediate family, they're always like priority for me in terms of like what I do with my time and things like that. So to that extent, but like hanging out with family, I kind of keep to myself a lot. So I still have that like demon friends where I just, you know, I'm being like introverted and blessed last. I'm kind of like in the corner hiding away, just do my own thing most of the time. Yeah.
Would you say you're the kind of person, like, let's say you get in a relationship, that you will I can't pronounce this word, compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the right word. Your role. So what I mean by that is, like, I have some female friends who would tell me, like, when they go to work, they want to be like the boss bitch, you know, like they run the department, they run the stuff. But when they go home to their partner, they want to be submissive and they want to be like, you know, like kind of like that. So and vice versa. There's also ones who are like more submissive when they go to work and they're kind of like chill, but when they go home, they're like the boss. I run this household. Uh, you know, where do you fall in that spectrum? Are you someone that, like, I want to be the boss everywhere, or are you someone that's like, I'm more chill here, like kind of flexible, 50-50, whatever. There's no such thing as 50-50 relationship, by the way. But like, and then at work, you're like, yeah, I'm the boss person. But like, how do you see yourself in this context?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a little bit difficult for me to answer because I work from home. So
Okay.
like my office is my home. So I can't compartmentalize in the sense that I can't leave my work at home because my work is always at home. And I work in the evenings, I work in the day, I work in the middle of the night. So,
Okay.
But I think I just tend to bring out the personality that the situation demands. So if the situation demands that I be a boss bitch, whether it's in a relationship or whether it's at work, then I have to be a boss bitch. If the situation demands that I have to be a little bit more chilled, then I'm, you know, Bless Lass helps me to do that. I can be a little bit more chilled with that situation. So I think it's more situation dependent.
I see. So at the end, you're still an EP. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what you. Okay, so that the EP is still the boss at the end of the day.
Basically.
You know, it's super cool to know all this OPS type, because like, um, you know, like you could be a number one but still chill if you're an EP, right? Like it's still kind of interesting. It's like you can still have
Yeah.
the mix of seriousness and chillness at the same time, like regardless of what's required, as you said, at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's what gets me in a lot of trouble as well, because one of the things that I've realized about being number one is that I have that whole, I cannot let somebody else lead. Even as a blast last, if I get a sense that I'm following the lead of someone who's a fucking idiot, I will rebel. I think my EP-ness comes out and then I just want to like, don't control me, bro. Plus being number one. So like the whole submissive, if you're in a relationship or submissive at work, it's just never, I've never been able to accept that, because then I just think you, like, just for the sake of the relationship or just for the sake of the job, I can't imagine why you would submit to someone who's a fucking idiot. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, as a fellow EP, I completely resonate with what you said. I remember I think there was 1 year I was working for the elections and I was like manning the booth where I'm like taking people's votes and stuff. And my supervisor, I think he was an ESFJ, consume last, and he was like the biggest moron I've ever met. Like he was telling me the wrong stuff, and the wrong stuff he was telling me would actually cost me to waste more time. And at one point, I got fed up with his BS, so I started asking another supervisor for help instead of him. And then he started getting his ego bruised because, you know, with those ESFJs and anyone of that, uh, people that have their same function as them, they have ST sleep, right? So their inner world is correlated with competence. So he felt like I was attacking his sense of competency by not asking him for directions and going to someone else. So I was like circumventing him, right? So I got fed up. I was like, you know what? If this moron can run this election, well, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go apply and be a supervisor because seriously, this is unacceptable. You know,
Yes.
and that's what I did. So the following year, I became a supervisor instead. So I'm like, okay, you know, so I totally get what you said. It's like, can't follow a moron, you know, must.
Yes.
Now, what if your boss is competent? Like you have a good manager or whatnot, and you can tell they're hardworking, they're smart, they know what they're doing, and they're easy to work with. Like, how would you be cool with them taking the lead, or are you gonna be like, no, I'm still number one. I gotta somehow get above.
I would be cool with learning from them. I think there's a difference. I would be cool with letting them show me how they got to where they are.
Yeah.
But if it gets to a point where I'm kind of now at a level where I'm the same as them, or like maybe I've leveled up, or maybe they just stop, you know, being competent for some reason, then I think that's when my rebellious side will come up, and I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of time to, you know, change things up or go my own direction. Because I feel like I feel like there's the culture around, like, if somebody's been an established leader, out of respect and out of historically they've been a leader, you kind of have to give them the benefit of doubt. But like, which is true to some extent, but I kind of feel like you're only as good as your last like achievement or accomplishment. So if it gets to a point where you're not as competent as you are, which it happens, unfortunately, that's what happens in life, you know, that's just how things are, then you kind of have to learn to step down or let somebody else take that position. And then at that point, I'll just be like, listen, I've probably gotten as much as I can from you, but I kind of need to go.
So would you say the dark, cold side of being a number one is people are just stepping stones to get higher?
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but it's like, I always see, and also being EP, I always see an opportunity with this person to help me to level up in some way, shape, or form. I think that's where the transactional relationship comes in, because it's kind of like, what purpose is this? I can't think of a nicer way to say it, or like, if you can think of a nicer way to say it, please tell me. But it's like, you know, what purpose does this relationship serve in my life? Is this a relationship that's going to elevate me and help me to get further, help me to grow, are we going to help each other achieve and grow? Or is this person going to hold me back or set me back in some way? But I can't think of a nicer way to say that, but unfortunately that is I have a good radar for people who are going to either elevate me or help me in some way, or people who are going to hold me.
I see.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's so interesting, like being a number one, and like I know a lot of number ones, so I think that's the interesting thing about number ones is, like David Shan said, there's like a lot of number ones, but they're not all good. Like not all number ones are talented enough to become number ones. Even though they're number, it's so interesting. And there's like a lot of number fours that have the talent, but they don't have the drive, right? So
yeah,
you almost need like a good mix of like talent plus drive to really get like the it factor, I guess you could say, you know.
yeah.
So I do want to talk about the it factor stuff, because do you think you have the it factor to become like a true number one?
What do you mean by the it factor?
Well, I mean, like in any given, like, you know, remember they showed I don't know if you saw that video, they had like this Egyptian bodybuilder that they showed in one of their videos. I don't know if you've seen that video. Big Ramy, I think is his name. And then he was did you see that one? He was he was like a number 4, but he was like oozing with talent.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
And he just wanted to hug people and be friends.
Yeah.
But he had the it factor because he had like that talent, the charisma, just lacking the drive. So he needs like coaches to like push him, right? So
Right.
So do you feel like you have the it factor to be a true number one? Because I know this is like a ego question, but like,
yeah,
what do you think about that?
I don't know. I think I'm delusional enough to think that I can.
Okay. In which field do you think you have the it factor? Because obviously you can't do everything, but
Yes, yeah. I think I have, like, obviously in my career, in my job, I think I have the potential to be like a really, really good therapist. So I think maybe the it factor, I have the it factor in that. Somebody said that I have the potential to be famous once, so maybe, I don't know, that maybe that I'm saying, I think I'm delusional enough to believe that that is true, but I think that more comes with the drive. Like, even if that's not true, even if I don't have the it factor, I think because with the drive, I will still, like, I won't hear it, and I'll just keep going anyway, because I'll like, I want to prove everyone wrong, kind of thing. So I think I have enough drive and delusion to believe that I could.
yeah.
But I don't know if in reality I actually am, because I could be just a useless piece of shit and I just don't know it. But you know, maybe I am. Maybe I'm useless. But I have this in me to believe that I can achieve things. So.
Right. I guess time will tell to see what will happen. Have you ever given it any future projection of like how you would feel if you don't get to the point that you're imagining or visualizing that you would get?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, especially, like it used to bother me. It used to be like, oh, so what's the point of life if I can't like get to the top? But I think I'm a little bit more chilled in it now, because I think I'm a little bit less concerned with like the sensory stuff of achievement and more kind of concerned with personal achievement. Like as long as I, at the end of the day, if I feel like I've done more, if I've done enough, that I can say that I've actually achieved something, I've moved the needle a little bit, like that's enough for me. So I could just never amount to anything in my entire life, but as long as every single day I feel like I've done more than I can, and I haven't like held myself back in some way, like I feel like that's more of a sense of achievement for me. Whereas before I would have been like, oh, I need to hit this milestone, I need to get this, I need to be successful in this. It seemed more like there was more emphasis on like the external outcome, whereas more I think now I find that I can satisfy my number one need by just feeling a sense of like personal achievement, like I've hit a personal best, if that makes sense.
Right, right. And then have you given it any thought of what you would do if you do reach the top already and there's no more ceiling to go in terms of like for this specific role? How like have you given it a thought? Like what's next after that?
Yeah, you know, like Thanos when he just rests on a peaceful
Oh, he was farming?
on a grateful universe and rest. That's where I see myself. It's like I can finally rest. I can finally
And be a
consume in
farmer?
peace. Like that's what I imagine. I can actually rest. It feels like I'm not allowed to rest um because I haven't earned it. But I feel like if I do reach the top, then I can finally consume guilt-free, and just because I've actually earned it.
Yeah, I love the Infinity Wars is one of my favorite movie because the bad guy won, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sick of the good guys winning. So it was kind of nice to see, and
Yeah, right.
he wasn't really a real bad guy too, which I also like. He was kind
Yeah,
of,
I think he had a point. He had a
yeah, he
point.
had a
He was
point. I was like,
right.
I can't really hate him, like,
His methods are a little dicey, but yeah, he was right. I think he had a point.
yeah, his methodology was questionable, but his intent was pure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, so you said you're working as a counselor now, or like
I'm a CBT therapist.
you're a therapist, like psychologist.
CBT therapist.
Oh, CBT therapist. I see.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to be famous? Kind of like a lot of people that's famous in like that psychology field. Like Brene Brown, for example, or someone like that. In that field, like, do you want to be like doing TED talks and stuff and all that stuff?
Yep.
And do you follow those people who are like famous in this field? Like Brene Brown's my favorite in this field. But like, do you follow her or like any other ones like?
I've read her stuff. I've read some of her stuff, and it's genius. It's really, really good. But actually, one of the things that I when I did my Dave audio call was try to establish what like the plan was, because that was obviously being EP, that was what was missing.
Yeah.
And I did narrow it down to, for me, like the game that I'm playing is to one day edit a TED talk. And it's that line that I recite to myself every single day in the morning, like when I'm doing like my morning rituals. It's like that's the plan. I want to end up one day giving a TED talk. So it's not to say that I like that's what I'm striving towards, like that's what I aspire to be, but I think that's like the general direction. Like if I feel like I've achieved something, it's that I've ended up on a TED talk because of the work that I'm doing.
How's your public speaking being last?
You know what? It's a lot better. It is a lot better. I am improving. I will say that. I still ramble quite a lot. And I still get really insecure when I feel like I need time to rehearse something, because in my head it feels like someone should just be able to ask you a question and then you should have an answer straight away. But I didn't realize that like the OIs, they like, especially the blasts, like these are things that they rehearse behind the scenes. I didn't know that you're supposed to be doing that. So I think I have to get over that whole insecurity about needing to do that, because I feel like I need to have answers ready on the spot, and that's probably why I don't really blast. But I think it is getting better, because I am like, when I have to present something, I do kind of try to take some time before an event to really like prepare and rehearse the speech that I'm going to make. So I would say that I'm getting better. There's still obviously lots of room for improvement, but I don't think I'm nowhere near as mumbly as I used to be. At least I like to think anyway.
Yeah, you're definitely not the worst speaker that I've spoken to in terms of who are blast last. Um, I almost feel like each animal kind of has like, in the old Myers-Briggs, they have like the perceiver, judger, all that stuff, and they have like percentages and stuff. I almost feel like each animal almost has like a percentage. And like, there's like the opposites are play and sleep and blast and consume. I almost feel like there's like a percentage of like which way it's leaning. Like there's like 100% it's leaning more. Because sometimes I talk to someone that's blast last, but then they're not the worst blast laster. So I feel like the blast last percentage is like on the lower. But then sometimes I do an interview and someone is like the worst blast last person I've ever met. I'm not gonna name any names, but this person's an EP. That's just one.
It's not me, is it?
Yeah, it's not you. It's an EP, but it's I think this person had like 100%, unlike the blast last or something. So so I can definitely say that there's people that it just feels like there's like a percentage
right,
for this kind of stuff.
right,
so
right.
Since you're a number one, would you say you're actually attracted to number fours from more of like a personality and physical attraction? Because opposites attract, right? So like when you see someone that's like really kind and they love people and stuff, there's like a part of you that kind of like melts. And like, how do you can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm more attracted to number fours. I would say I get on better with number fours. And I think because of everything that you said is like opposites attract, but also I think because with the number one, even if I'm not consciously or actively trying to be the lead, I think we've established that naturally I kind of put myself in these positions where I'm kind of like taking over things and taking the lead of things. So if you have, I've had conversations or interactions with other number ones, and we both kind of have that need to be the lead and to be at the top, and it creates a lot of friction. It creates a lot of tension. It's like, it's annoying. It's really, really annoying, especially being an EP where I'm just like, I don't want to be controlled. So I think I tend to get on better with number fours because I don't want it. Again, I don't have another better way of saying this, but they tend to be more submissive. Not that I want them to be submissive, but they just tend to be easier, easier to get along with, I think. Whereas number ones were just stubborn as hell, like just arguing over everything and just yeah. So I think I get on better with social types be below number one.
So I guess number fours, they kind of just go with the flow. While you, as a number one, you have an agenda. So they kind of just tag along with your agenda. They don't really care, right? And then that's kind of nice for you because then you're not conflicting with someone else that has also an agenda. Hence why you can't date another number one. Like it's gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, without sorry, go ahead.
They're just a lot more easier going and just they teach me how to relax, like because I don't know how to like. They don't get offended where I get offended as easily. So it's a lot more of a nicer, relaxed atmosphere.
Okay, so so here's the funny question though, because you're still an EP, an ESFP at the end of the day. What if you go out with someone that doesn't check any of your boxes at all, like those criteria you have, but this person is just so damn attractive? Are you what's that?
I could never.
like and it's clearly a bad idea, but this person is just way too attractive. Like, are you gonna be like that? Those, because one of the things with like ESFPs and ESTPs is like they go with what's fun now versus like what's best long term. So which one would kick in, would you say, for you? Where if like
yeah, I think it would be the number one. They would just annoy me too much with just the lack of motivation, the lack of enthusiasm, the lack of drive. It would really get on my nerves.
So even if they were like super attractive, you would like
push it's not enough. It's not enough because because my bullshit tolerance level is already at like 5%. I would just be pissed off all the time, and I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly pissed off.
So okay, so would you be pissed off because the person's so damn attractive? It's like, what the hell? Why are you missing all this?
Yeah, no, I couldn't. It wouldn't work. I just would be arguing all the time because then I'd feel the need to just challenge them on everything. And you can't build a relationship on that when somebody's trying to challenge you on everything. Like that's not fun for them, and it's not
Right.
gonna be fun for me either.
Right. I guess that's the crutch of being like attractive is like you don't have to work on yourself because you can get far without
Yeah,
needing to just on how you look. So so that's yeah, definitely I understandable what you said there.
yeah.
So part of being a number one is also responsibility. Can you talk about like that also that obsession with being responsible and making sure that and instead of specializing, it's kind of more like, you know, doing a bunch of different stuff. Of course, you still have specializing, it's number three, right? But it's not missing. So what's your relationship with doing more of a general broader role in any work versus specializing? I do see that you're probably specializing right now though.
Yeah, but that's only because I found out what my social type is. I think before I was kind of, trying to juggle different things or trying to consider different options. Like I just couldn't, and with being blast as well, like I just couldn't settle on one lane. Blast being EP, it was really hard to settle in one lane. I kept jumping back and forth and entertaining lots of different things. But I think my responsibility goes to the extent where as long as I have a mission, then I can see myself being responsible, but I'm not going to be like and unlike the number twos, I'm not going to be responsible for something that I didn't put my name on. I think I can more easily delegate or leave that for somebody else, especially if I know that that person is going to pick up that job a lot better than I can. It seems like that would be more beneficial in the long run for everybody if that person takes the lead. But if it's something that I've put my name on, then yeah, I think I would be a little bit more reluctant to not take responsibility for everything. Then it's a little bit harder for me to delegate then, because then I'm like, oh, it needs to be done right. It needs to be needs to be a little bit better, and only I can do it, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, like how the social type is how company structures are essentially made, right?
Yeah.
Number one's the boss, and then they have like a couple number twos who are like maybe the VPs or operation manager, marketing manager, and then below them they have all like the specialists working for them. Whether that be number threes or number fours, right? So
Yeah.
so all right. So do you have any questions for me as we're going along this discussion about being your social type and whatnot, or just any general question in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
probably should have asked this already, but did you figure out what your social type was? Because I know there was a lot of questions around that. And
Yeah, because I asked Dave and Shannon, they don't know if I'm four or two. I don't have a clear answer. I think I'm a number two because I was sometimes it's not about like what you're doing. Sometimes it's about like what is missing, you know?
Mhm.
So and there's several cross checks for each social type, right? Like if you're number one, you like compliments and you like what's the other one? Acts of service, right? And if you're number two, it's acts of service and quality time. Number three, it's like gifts. So I think that's what they said, gifts and compliments. And number four is like quality time and gifts, right? So
Mhm.
I was like spinning my wheels trying to figure out. It's like, okay, there's an argument for both twos and four for me.
Mhm.
But the one thing that really, 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 really stood out like right in my face is I don't give a shit about gifts. I do not. I do not. It's the one thing that I just like someone gives me something, I'm like, oh, okay, great. Thanks. Right?
Yeah, now I owe you something.
Yeah, like I don't know what to do with this. Now I owe you something. I better get you something too. So just to make
Yeah.
it even. So I so by just doing that, I think I'm a number two because I don't because the number twos hate the gifts the most.
Yeah.
They hate it more than number ones, right? So
Mhm.
um so it's just from that checklist because like and also my love language it's I was thinking about it because like even before I knew about ops, I've always known it was quality time and acts of service, right? It was those two, right? And then like recently I've kind of been like just seeing how I feel, like which one gives me a more like happiness when does someone want to hang out with me versus someone like goes out of their way to help me in my businesses
Yeah.
or work. And I noticed right away, right when I really feel like I built a bond with someone and I feel like I really like them and I
Yep.
appreciate them, it's acts of service. It's not quality time. Quality time I do appreciate a lot as well, but it's a notch below acts of service. So
Right.
and then but plus like I was also looking, you know, part of like knowing your social types, looking at your life pile, right? And then I was like, holy crap, I'm doing so much. Like I have this YouTube channel, this personality one, and then I have a travel one, a travel YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then I have I work as a recruiter for my day job, plus I work as a personal trainer on the side. And then on top of that, I recently got like this contract to teach in a college for
Oh
people
wow.
who wants to get certified in being a fitness trainer, right? Because I wasn't trying to achieve it. I don't even give a shit. I just got it by I don't know. It just happened. Like it kind of like an EP story, like opportunity presented itself. So I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And then suddenly I got certified for like be an instructor for fitness people, and
Yeah.
and then I'm like, and then now it's kind of weird because like I'm having, so I have ego third, right? Or not ego, but like flex third. So I'm like, oh shit, I never expected to get this far, you know. So like I don't know what to do with it, right? So like I haven't done it yet because it's a contract position, so I only pick up if I want to, so I haven't picked up anything. But mainly because it's a prioritization thing. So I was thinking also, it's like if I have to put my name on something, it's not fitness. I don't care about the fitness stuff. That was like my past career. I'm dwindling down. I only teach spin once a week now, and I only really teach spin so I can get paid to work out. And that sounds terrible, but that's the real reason I teach spin. And I have one client at work that I really like, so I'm still high friends. So and my client, he's like a psychologist. He's like a PhD psychologist. He actually wants to come to my YouTube channel, so I'll probably bring him up at some point. Because he thinks objective personality is pseudoscience, but like you know, because I sent him like some stuff to analyze and stuff. So so he said unless there's he gave me like a list of criteria that must be met in order for it to not become pseudoscience. So I'll probably bring him in at some point just to cover all those stuff. I think David Shan is actually working towards that though. So right now it's considered pseudoscience, but I think at one point it might become validated as something legit. So we'll find out, I guess.
So if somebody asked you like what your lane is, would you know what your lane is? Because I think with like the specialized demon, like because mine is third, so although I have done like lots of little things here and there, I think generally the direction of which my life has been going has always been in that one lane of like therapy or psychology. So if somebody was to ask you all of these different hats that you wear, like, do you know what your lane is? Would you be able to answer that? Like, what is your lane?
I think the lane, it depends if it's personal life or professional life. So in my personal life, my lane is travel. In my professional life, it's psychology. And like even my client, the psychologist guy, he keeps pushing me to go get a master's in counseling. He keeps telling me, he's like, hey, I've talked to a lot of people, you know your stuff, and you don't even have a background in psychology, and you seem to know your stuff. So I'm like, okay, thank you. I really that's I do appreciate that the compliment. So he and I was like, even a long time ago, I was thinking about like my life and like who I resonated with the most from a professional level. Like to be more realistic, because like the person I really admire the most is David Goggins, but I don't see myself being like David Goggins, like the toughest man in the world. Like I don't see myself being that. I do take in a lot of that attributes that he teaches, but ultimately though, the person that I feel like who would I be if I was my best self? And I think I think I'm Professor X, to be honest. Like I know it sounds funny, and it's kind of ironic too.
I love it.
No, because like even in like the guy, the actor for Professor X, he's an NETE also, like me, and that's why I changed the name of the channel from ENFP Male to personality trainer. I feel like I would be the best at coaching people at how to be their best self, because I think one of my I don't, have you ever done your Strength Finder 2.0 test with Gallup?
No.
I know David Shan like drags it under the mud and he thinks it's absolute trash. I think it's actually really good, and it's scientifically valid as well. So there's two tests that I would I would take if I were you. One of them is the Strength Finder 2.0 by Gallup. That's the name of the company. And then the second one is Born to Build, also by the same company. Strength Finder was the one that's in the New York Times bestseller, and then the other one was like it's like a version of that, but for career. Because Strength Finder, it applies to both personal and career. And then so like in Strength Finder, one of the things that they say there and in the book is like the biggest lie that someone told you was that you can be whoever you want to be. They said the truth is you can be. They said the biggest lie is that, but the truth is you can be more of who you are, right? And you don't know how far you can be if you just know who you are and work at your lane where you're best suited for, where you can actually have an it factor, because you can go somewhere and you don't have the it factor. What's the point? You're wasting your time, right? So when I took the test, my five profile, the first one was activation, which goes along with play blast. Activation is like you just do, you don't overthink it, you just start. You just start, right? So that's like, so when people are overly analyzing something, the first thing I would say is like, okay, when can we start? Let's just start, whatever. What are we doing? Right. Number two is communication. Obviously, play blast, also high communication. But the one where the Professor X thing kind of comes into play is the individualization, because that's my ability to see people's hidden talents. So when I'm doing interviews, that's actually what I'm doing. I'm trying to see where you're actually good at, and where's like where you're not tapping into something that you should be tapping. Like it's just like I have an eye for it. I feel like I have an eye for talent. That's why I'm working as a recruiter. Like I just know if you're wasting your fucking time. Like, because like I'm looking at you're doing this one thing, and I'm like, what the fuck? You're talented at this other thing. You're wasting your fucking time. Why you're doing this because your parents told you to do this, or your friends thought you should be good at this, or the market said that this is what's in demand, when really this is where you can excel? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it makes me really mad, right? When people are wasting their time.
I can tell.
Yeah. So like when I talk to people, like I just know like if you're gonna be good at this or not, and you should pursue something else, right? And then my fourth one is what was it? I think that's the fourth one actually. Oh, command. I have command. So command is like I'm blunt apparently. I just tell it how it is. Like, and it's true. I get in trouble a lot for that. Like a lot of trouble. I can't even say some of the stuff I said. I would get in trouble on camera. Yeah. But like I'm not like, yeah, I like racist jokes, right? So like sometimes I'll just tell a racist joke at work. And sometimes it's about other Asians, because like I'm also Asian, right? So you can make fun of your own race, right? And then people get like they cringe, and I'm like, or like they're like offended. And some people actually like they laugh their ass off too. So you get both sides of the camp, right? So but also like when it comes to like emotions too, sometimes when someone's acting like crazy, I just call it out, right? Like to give you an example, like I had a coworker who was acting nuts at my workplace, and she's acting passive aggressive towards me. So I just called her and I told her, hey, I just straight up called her. I'm like, hey, I know I'm, this are other stuff I'm having trouble with, and I can see you're getting frustrated. Can we talk it out like an adult, And then she freaked out, and after that, I stopped training under her right away. Like, and my manager gave like a different reason why it happened, but I can tell she's like rattled that the fact that I just called her to like discuss the problem right away, right? Because I'm blunt. And my last one's ideation. Like that's the word I'm looking for. Like I'm good at coming up with ideas, but that's just the NE, right? Like generating ideas. So I think you should take the test, because like I think you would find out your five biggest strength, and then you can work on that, and then you avoid like the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. I'll even tell you your empathy level, so you might have it at the bottom.
I know, that's what I was just thinking as you said that. Imagine if I found out that I'm just like not suitable to be a therapist after I've dedicated all this time to it. Like that would be so awkward.
Yeah, so how are you doing that? Because like being a therapist requires high empathy and whatnot. So you're high consumes, you're good at listening, but you're low empathy being a number one. So what's how do you do it?
I think being blessed saves me a lot, because I always feel like I get very, very triggered easily when I have like clients who are very like low vibration. They're not motivated, they want me to do all the work, they're not actively participating in the process. And in like, because obviously FI, like I feel that frustration really, really deeply. and I always feel like it's very, very obvious. But I guess when it actually translates on my face, and because I don't say anything about it, I think people can't tell how pissed off I am, even though I'm like really annoyed at their bullshit. So I guess I think I'm kind of saved being blessed last, and also double feminine, because I just look like I'm just friendly all the time, even though I like fucking really want to kick someone in the face. So I think I get saved a little bit just because of my type. Like if I'm annoyed, like you won't be able to tell, I think is
So,
yeah.
but part of the job is to really get to know the person and see it from their perspective. So, if you're lacking that from the empathy side, how can you put yourself in their shoes, or are you able to do it for that moment?
I do have empathy. I think what I get frustrated about is when there is lack of like lack of motivation or just lack of responsibility. Because
Oh, I see.
I think that's probably why like Dave and Shan get in trouble a lot, is because I think both being savior responsibility, they have a very low tolerance for people who aren't responsible. And so it's less of the fact that I'm lacking in empathy, but I just get frustrated when I'm working with somebody who's not taking responsibility. I think that's when my stuff comes up and I'm just like really fucking pissed off. I'm just like losing patience. I'm just like, I don't want to work with this person. They just refuse to take responsibility. But you can never tell on my face, like even though I'm like really, really pissed off, it apparently doesn't show on my face because I haven't had any complaints so far.
Right.
So.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. So you have selective empathy then, depending on depending on the person.
Well, no, because I still feel empathy. I get, I don't know how to explain it. I still sympathize, but I think my frustration just takes over the empathy. Because I think sometimes, especially when like obviously being EP as well, like missing information, when the context comes in, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand why, you're like low vibration. I understand why it's really hard for you to take responsibility because of these certain circumstances. But I think in the moment, in that initial moment, I'm like, fuck, like get your shit together, or just like come into the sessions like actively ready to work on your shit. And that's when I get really, really pissed off, but you can't see it in my face. But it's only when I get to know people a little bit more and I kind of get that context about like their story and a little bit more, and I start to understand, okay, why this person might be struggling with this, then I think I can be a little bit more understanding and empathetic and actively empathetic about it.
I think what you said about the Dave and Chan thing, about like them having no patience for no responsibility or and whatnot. I think that's why when I watch their videos, it's never bothered me. I know some people get really upset that they're dropping the F-bomb all the time and they're like,
It doesn't bother me either.
like I'm like, what's the problem? I don't see it. Like, can someone explain to me? Oh, they're swearing. I'm like, so like, so and so I just don't get it, right? Like I don't get it, but
Yeah.
but I think that's why I don't see myself as like a number 3 or 4, because like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like if you criticize me, I'm fine with it. I get criticized a lot already, like
Yeah.
so it's fine. Like I mean, I don't, it doesn't feel good, but it does help me. I think the good thing about criticism, in my opinion, for me as a number 2, is it activates my number 1. I like when people, like, I don't remember, there was one time like people were trying to get me to make an apology video or something.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind is like, I'll show this morons, it was like my number 1 was like the one that kicked in, like
Yeah.
it wasn't like anything else. It was like I'm gonna go appease them now. I'm gonna apologize, go on my knees and apologize. I'm like, no, I'm gonna show this morons, like for those people. So it's like every time I get triggered, that demon number 1 kicks in, and it's always like, I'm gonna show this morons how it's done, what I hate about it though, because I wish I had more like that trait that you guys have, the number 1 drive. Like that's why I'm not a number 1, because I've thought about it, and it's like fleeting. It only gets triggered when people piss me off. The moment the moment I chill out, it goes away. And luckily I'm still number 2, so I still take responsibility. And I let's say I don't feel like going to the gym to work out, I still go because it's the right thing to do, right? But like I don't have like your drive is like crush, win, succeed. Like I don't have that drive. Like I don't have I have the drive to improve, but I don't have the drive to be better than other people. I don't, does that make sense? Like I have the desire to, like earlier during our discussion, you said you just can't stand the idea of like stagnation, right? So I 100% feel that way. Like the moment I'm stagnant, something's wrong. I gotta do something right away,
Yeah.
right? But it's not. There's no desire to like crush people. There is not. I don't know. Like let's say I'm playing like video games with friends. Okay, sure, just for that moment, right? Or if I'm playing like competitive sports, okay, just for that moment. Afterwards, I'm like friends with everyone. I don't really care. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Although you can use the friends thing as a trick too, though, because you can
Yeah.
be friendly
Yeah.
with someone and they're not likely to come after you, and then you have more chance to win. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that whole crush energy. I don't see that in myself. I
Yeah.
don't see like I want to crush people.
Really?
Maybe I'm doing it unconsciously and I don't realize it, but I can see the competitive. Yeah, I can see the competitive, but I can see the I'll leave you behind if you're not working on progress and growth, but I don't see that I want to crush you. I don't see that. So I don't know if that's like type specific or
Is it
anything.
is it because you're double decider? Would you say?
I don't know. Maybe it could be.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching like a Kobe Bryant video on like
Hmm.
when they were interviewing him, and I love how like self-aware he was. Like like I remember I think it was what's his name again, the guy that they always make fun of in Steven Chan always makes fun of. What's his name? The dude that interviews people. Um, not Tom Billy, the other guy, the one that the ESTP guy that they always make fun of. Like
Oh,
like the school greatness guy, Lewis House. They always make fun of him.
uh,
And yeah, so he was interviewing Kobe Bryant. I think it was him. Um, and then he's like, what's your biggest like weakness? He's like compassion. Like he knew right away. Um, he's like he didn't know until he was older that some people just don't have the drive, or some people just don't have like they just don't care enough to be the best. So
mhm, mhm.
before he would not give them any compassion, but like obviously when he got older, he got it,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
then so but it also he also said like um he was willing to help his teammates out, be better if they wanted to. So it's not like you guys don't want to help other people, but they have to want it, because if you don't want it,
exactly,
don't waste my time, right? Especially if
exactly.
you're in the same team and that person's gonna help you win also, then of course by all means help that person do better. So my question then to you, I think this is an interesting one now, is earlier during when we were discussing, you said you had all this checklist, right, about like a potential someone that you would date, right? But like let's say they haven't achieved much at all, but they have so much potential. Like they're clearly trying. They're clearly trying. They're just like they're just lacking direction or lacking guidance. But clearly, like this person has so much potential, and and they have they want to be better.
Mhm.
How would you approach this?
I think that's the difference, because I think that's what I struggle with in my work, is that you get a lot of people who show up to therapy, but they don't want to do better. They don't want to work on it actively, either because they were encouraged by a spouse or a friend to come to therapy and it wasn't their actual choice, or because they didn't really understand how the process of therapy works before they got into it, and then were really surprised that actually I kind of have to show up every week and I kind of have to be present. So I think when it comes to people who actually want to be here and want to do better and want to do the work, I have all of the time for those people. And I think that's when I feel the most motivated, by being in rooms of people who want to do the work. I think it's when I'm around like people who don't want to do the work that I really feel very, very demotivated. And that's when you'll start to see less effort for me investing in the relationship, because it's kind of like, well, if you don't want to, then there's no way that I'm going to be able to encourage you. And also, you wanting to do the work is also going to help me motivate myself as well to do the work. So I think it's just being in an environment around people who actively want to do the work that I feel the most motivated and feel the most inspired. It's just those situations where I'm around people who don't want to, where I feel very deflated, and you're less likely to see me taking a more active role in the process.
Right, right. So when you're helping your clients, how can you tell if they're actually just demotivated, or or whatnot, or they're not someone that has the drive versus like someone that had for some reason had learned helplessness, you know?
Yeah.
Like how it,
Yes.
yeah.
So it's those people that come to the sessions and they have done some kind of active work outside of the sessions. So you get people like, let's say if I set a homework for a client, and then I say, okay, go away and do this over the week. And then they come back in the session and you can tell that they haven't done the homework. And now we're just kind of doing the work in the session based on like what they remember at the time, like what's coming up. So it's kind of like, it looks like just someone who hasn't sleep processed over the week, right? I think that's what it would look like on the outside. But then you get those people who I set homework, we talk about something, they've actually gone away over the week, they've tried, they don't have to have done it like well, they don't have to have accomplished it, they don't have to have, they could have had a bad week, but you can tell when somebody has gone away, they've tried a few things, and now they're coming back and they're actively part of the reflective process in the session to talk about, okay, what went well, what didn't go well. Those are the ones that I really, really want to work with, because then it's not just me that's doing the work, and I can tell that somebody wants to be here. Whereas when you get those people who are like black flats, like just sitting back waiting for you to tell them what to do, and when you say, how was your week, did you do the homework, and they're like, oh yeah, actually thinking back on it last week, this thing happened, and they're just kind of like remembering what happened over the week in the moment, but they haven't like reflected on it at all during the week. So that's how you can tell that somebody's not motivated. It's like, are they actively part of this process, or are they very, very passive? I think that's the difference.
I can just picture you be like, oh, fucking blast last person. Like you're like,
I'm like, God, because then I get annoyed because I'm blast last, because then I know that I have to now work extra hard to pick up the stack that you're not taking, and I'm just like, fuck you, making me do the blast now.
That's so funny. The animal still kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So based on what you're saying, your most problematic clients are the blast last and the sleep last. Sleep last won't process and consume. So you're okay with the consume last and the play last ones, I guess you could say.
Yeah, they're a lot more part of the active process, and I don't have to do as much work, because where I'm already like demon sleep and demon blast, the ones where I really feel like I've worked the hardest is those ones, like the ones who are not doing the sleep processing or the blasting. I'm like, fuck, now I'm gonna have to do my own blast and yours too. It's like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think for me, the people I have the most trouble with when I work in fitness a lot was the consume last. Yeah. But the other ones were okay. So
why were they difficult?
I just don't think because consume is seeing yourself from an external perspective. So having that external self-awareness, and they don't know how they come across, and they don't know how their lack of researching or gathering is messing up their life, right? So I think it's a huge problem for me, because they don't know how they come across, and then now and they have a certain fitness goal, but they don't know they're the problem to their goal, because they don't see themselves and how they're behaving. So so when I look at my list of clients that I've had the most success with versus the ones I have not succeeded with, the ones I have the lowest success rate were always the consume last, and the one that I had the highest success rate was either I had the highest success rate with the infodoms. The play last do really well because they're hyper focused on themselves. Will activate sleep or DI, and then the sleep last because exercises, movement, and energy expenditure. So they're gung ho to like go, right?
Yeah.
I've been okay with. I have a lot of success also with the blast last, because the blast last, they kind of just go with the flow. Like they just want to be told what to do. So it's also good. So it's really like one-sided towards the consume last that I have had struggles with. With that being said, though, so when you have your patients or clients, how do you know if someone's just coming to your session just to vent? They don't want to better their life. They just want to feel better by venting. Because I work, even though I work as a personal trainer for many years, my job was I'm really a psychologist, like a makeshift psychologist, because like all the people that come in to me like they just vent. I saw at one point I even realized that half of them only paid for personal training because they can vent. Like they didn't even care about getting fit. They just wanted to like after work want to like spill their guts out to someone, and the trainer. Like as a matter of fact, you know what? If anyone can afford therapy, they should hire a personal trainer because it's so good because you get fit and then you get your emotional baggage out of the way. Like it's really good. But anyway, so back to your experience when you when you're dealing with someone that just wants to emotional vomit, but they don't want to, like, let's someone, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you should say that because Sam was saying the same thing. He says about how like he's basically helps people to emotionally vent, but I guess him being FE, like he's fine with it. But it's exactly what you were saying. It's like those people who are putting in more effort to vent than to actually do the training. Because I imagine that when you're working with somebody who's venting, they'll probably be like on the exercise bike and they're like doing it, but more of their focus of attention is just on, I need to just brain dump all of this thing. I need to just say what he's saying, and then I'll kind of half-ass the training. And again, it's just kind of the whole like not being an active process, not being active in the process of working out or of helping yourself. I think that's what it comes down to. It comes down to you're just using this space to talk about your problems, but you're not actually trying to help yourself. You're not doing anything actively to help yourself because and I think sometimes the content of what they're saying, you can tell, it's usually a lot of that like victim mentality. It's usually a lot of, this person is the problem, or this situation is wrong, and, woe is me, and all of that stuff. So it's really just a combination of like, are they actively part of the process of getting better and helping themselves? And like, are they blaming everybody else and everything else for their circumstances? I think that's what I can tell. Usually you probably can tell the same thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I already know if this person's gonna take this seriously or not. So like, yes. Yeah, like I know if this is gonna be a session where they just want to chat and hang out, and basically the session just to collect money, which it's not motivating when it's just for money. I'm not money motivated, so if it's a session just for money, they don't really care. I'm like, my two favorite clients are the ones who take their fitness super seriously, and like when I'm analyzing all the movement and stuff and kind of saying, okay, like my absolute favorite thing to do is empower people. And when I was working in fitness, and I kind of had like that number one mentality for my client. Like I want my client to be number one, not for myself, but my client. So like especially when I had female clients, like one of the things I would tell them is like, we need to get you to do a full pull-up, like a full pull-up, because less than 1% of females can do it. So you be like one of the top if you can do a full pull-up. Nice. So I always tell that to my female clients. And then so for me, I'm always doing like different analysis, like, okay, what's stopping you from doing a pull-up? Is because so this muscle, for example, is your traps, right? If your traps is tight, your lats won't activate, and if your lats doesn't activate, then you can't do a pull-up, right? So like I'm always thinking like, okay, so you need to see a massage therapist and a physio, loosen up your traps, then we do a workout session right away, and we go power up your lats, and eventually after a few months we can get you a pull-up. And I've only done it twice. I got 2 females to do a full a chin up and pull up, but I think one of them's a number one. She's a number one. Like she's trying to be a pop star, right? So she's released some music and like Spotify and stuff. I don't think she's made it big yet, but she's like starting to, I guess. But she was the first one I got to do a full chin up, and she was like super happy because it's like a huge achievement. I'm like, you're now 1% of the female population, and she was like, yeah, I was like so happy, right? And then this other one was like this play last person, never pinks when I talk to her. We never chat during the training side. We never chat. She just like analyzes every detail of the workout. And I think I don't know what type she is. Maybe she's like a number 3 or something. I don't know. But like when I told her she could be like the number one in not like top 1% of females, she really got motivated by that. And maybe because like number 3 having the ego also, because like she wants to be like the best at her job at work. She doesn't want to be the boss bitch, right? But like when I told her, hey, you can do a pull up, and then she was my first client ever to do a full pull up, not chin up, but like the actual pull up. And then it was like for starting with no training experience whatsoever in 4 months. So I like that empowering aspect of it. That's why I'm like Professor X, I guess, like for personality. That's what I want to do. But so And then my second favorite clients are just people who are fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Like maybe this person is not like, they're making progress, but it's like slow. But like every time they come into the session, like, but I can see in other parts of their life they're like making progress. Because like some people, when it comes to fitness, the goal is not to get like rip or jack or get to look really good. Their goal is just to, because they hate working out, they just want someone to keep them accountable, right? But like in their personal life, they're actually like upgrading other aspects of their life, right? So I like those people, especially if they're fun to talk to, because then it's like it's still a good session, right? So I don't know if you feel that way, where you have like a client where like maybe they're not very growth mindset when it comes to the emotional stuff, but outside of that they are. I don't know, or they're fun to talk to. Are you okay with that, or like, or still no? Must progress.
That's still no. And as you were saying that, I realized like the difference as well, because I had a client who kept, at the end of each session, he kept asking me like what I'm doing on the weekend and asking me like personal questions. Like when the work is done, he'd be like, oh yeah, so what's your plans for the weekend? And I'd be really annoyed. I'd be like, is this relevant? Like, how is this going to help you improve? Because in my head, like my job is to help you because we have like KPIs, right? We have like what they're called, like numerical data to assess how you're progressing.
Right.
So I think my goal in my head is just always have your scores come down? Are you improving? Like, are you doing better? Is there actual evidence that shows that you're doing better? And obviously, like subjectively as well, do you feel better? But then I get those clients who are also just interested in getting to know me personally. I'm like, fuck, I'm not here to be your friend. Like, I'm just here to help you kind of get past the point of recovery, and then you can like go on your way. But yeah, no, I don't have those clients where I feel like, oh, this is a really good client because they're really chatty and they're really fun. This was a really good client because we did a good piece of work and they improved. That's what it is for me.
But having that friend sometimes, that like friendship connection actually helps in sessions or like with people in general. Because like I had one instance, I was trying to convince this one coworker at one of the fitness facilities I was working at. I've been working with her for like years, and she just refused to work out. She refused to work out. I think she's an INTJ, like sleep, consume, play, blast. Just refuses, doesn't want to go to the gym and stuff. And then one day I went up to her and I said, you know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth. Do you think I like going to the gym? I told her, I'm like, I fucking hate going to the gym. The thought of me going to work out, and I this is my full-time job. The thought of me going there to work out makes me sick. I absolutely can't stand it. I hate the gym. I know how much effort it's gonna take and how much painful it's gonna be, but it's the right thing to do. I'm like, do you brush your teeth? Do you want to brush your teeth? Like, do you want to do all this bullshit? Do you want to go see the dentist and like, no, you don't want to do all that shit, but you have to because it's the right thing to do. So I do it because it's the right thing to do, not because I like it. I fucking hate it. And then she looked at me after I said that. She's like, I thought you work out because you like it. I'm like, no, I know, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate work. Like, I only like working out when I'm on vacation. And it's weird, ironically, but like when I'm like working and grinding away, I don't want to go to the gym. It takes time out of my day to go to the gym and work out. So the moment I said that to her, she was in the gym the next day, and been coming every week. And I'm like, yeah, you can. It's okay to hate it. It's okay. So.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, because like self-disclosure is a huge therapy tool in the space, right? Because it makes people feel comfortable, it humanizes you, and it kind of lessens that gap of like the power dynamics. They start seeing you as a person with actual emotions and struggles, and stop seeing you as somebody who's better than me, because they always assume that that person in a position of power has their shit together. But when you tell your clients exactly how it is, they can relate and they see themselves in you, and that kind of creates a more healthy dynamic. So I agree with you that self-disclosure is a really important part of it. I just think I suck at it. I'm very bad at it.
Oh, you don't want to either come across weaker or something, or you just don't want to talk about it?
No, I
think about it.
It's not, yeah, that's what it is. It's just, it never occurs to me that I have to kind of warm this person up, because in my head, the only goal is to do better. That's the only goal.
I see.
So it just never occurs to me that I can, to help someone in this process, they need to warm up to me. And in order to warm up to me, I kind of have to be friendly. It never occurs to me.
I think that's why I like David Goggins, even though he's the number one. Is like, he's not, because he'll talk about like, oh, I have to go for a run, but sometimes it takes me 30 minutes looking at my shoe because I don't want to put it on the run. Like, I just don't want to do it. So it takes him 30 minutes just sitting there looking at the shoes. And I think that humanizes him, right? It's like he doesn't want to do this stuff, you know. So, you know, so I think that's good. We're gonna wrap up the discussion shortly. I just want to ask you two things before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, cover two things. So first one is earlier as a number one, you said that you want to be known for something and you want to achieve and whatnot. Your boss last and your boss is NT. It's NITE, right? But your sleep is NF. Would you rather be known as an intellectual when you become like that at the top point, or would you prefer to be known for you being not self-actualized, but have a lot of wisdom, you know? So which one of those do you want? Because one is the last animals, one's your inner world.
Yeah, I would rather be known for my wisdom because I think it's more applicable to everybody. Because I think there's different types of intelligence, right? And I feel like if you're more wise, I feel like you have a wider scope to be able to help as many people as you can. Whereas if you're just like intellectually smart, or you like book smart or whatever, you can only help a subset of people. So I think I would rather be known for my wisdom because I think it's more applicable to a wider range of people. I think that probably shows a lot of my ego as well, because it seems like I want to be widely known rather than just like a few group of people. But yeah, so I would rather be known, and I feel a lot more affirmed when people compliment me because of my wisdom. I have had a few people who say that, like some people tell me I'm intelligent, some people tell me I'm wise. I find it a lot more of a compliment when people tell me that I'm wise. I'm like, oh, thanks. Now I can actually like be of value to you as a person. Yeah. Valuable tribe them.
Yeah, someone I interviewed who was at ENTJ with the NF sleep also said that he also liked being that inner philosopher, you know. That's kind of like the big NF. It's like you're a philosopher, right? So I guess that's like the part of you that you want to bring out is like the philosopher side. And one last thing is like what haven't we talked about that you want to address, or what is it about yourself that you want people to know that you haven't gotten a chance to tell?
Oh God, that's a good question. What do I want people to know? I guess probably that like number ones, we're not all evil. Like I care a lot about, I know it sounds like what's it called? Like I'm peacocking.
Like a sociopath?
Yeah, like I'm not a sociopath. At least I hope I'm not. So like when I say all of these things, especially the things that I said at the start about like friends and being transactional and all that stuff, like it's not, I hope it doesn't come across in a malicious way. I think it's just more about like the way that my mind works and where my focus of attention is. It's usually on bettering myself. And it's not that I don't recognize people. It's not that I don't see people. It's not that I don't care about people. I really do. I think it's just my focus of attention, because of that human need, is always on betterment. And so unfortunately, because if you're singularly focused on stuff like that, things do kind of start to fall a little bit short. So I guess I'm trying to I don't know, say that number ones, we're not all evil. We're not all Andrew Tates and psychopaths.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's very good. But there's good number ones and bad number ones, like anything else, right? So you're not necessarily like the bad number one. Oh, looks like she froze.
Hello?
Okay, we're back. So you froze there for a second. Yeah, so anyways, what I was saying is like a good point. Not all number ones are evil. So there's good and bad number ones. Mr. Beast is a good number one, while like Andrew Tate is the evil one, and you can use those two as like the examples of like which direction you want to go with. I wouldn't even say Andrew Tate is evil, to be honest. He doesn't. I watched some of his videos. I don't think he's evil. I think he's crazy, but I don't think he's evil per se. I think someone else would be evil, like number one. But as a double decider, I just cannot paint someone as pure evil. Like the only person I can think of as pure evil are like what's that guy who killed himself after he got caught like having the island of like like sex people, like he was like bringing in or something, and like celebrities were going there. What's his name again? Like the shoot, I forgot his name. There was a guy. He looks like an IP, and he had like an island. And shoot, I'm not doing this story at this a service. And then he committed suicide after he got caught, and then like but people think he got off because he knew who was going in there. So
yeah.
So I feel like that guy was like an evil number one, or like that guy in Hollywood, the Weinstein guy or something. Like he's like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I think those are like the actual evil ones, you know. But anyways, that's just my opinion of things. And then lastly, the one thing I want to bring up about the social type before we wrap this up is, I think some of the wording for the social type should be changed, because it's not like savior responsibility. I think that doesn't match number 2, to be honest. Because it doesn't mean like the other social types are not responsible, right? So it's like it's almost like not the best word to use for it. Like I think the word seeking is better. Like number 1 is like seeking achievement. Number 2, seeking independence. I think independence is the better word. You know, because number 2s want to be independent, right? And that's like my number 1 goal in life is independence. Like I don't want to rely on anyone for money or anything. Like I want to have the power to get in, like have the be resourceful enough and have the mental toughness enough to get whatever I want, right? Or do whatever I want, you know. So I think just the wording would like specialization is good, seeking specialization, or you can even say seeking routine, right? Because like number 3 is also like routines, right? And then number 4 is the most obvious, seeking connection, I guess you could say, right? So friendship and whatnot. Anyways, Maria, we'll wrap up the talk here. So thanks for coming out and giving us an update on where you are right now, especially with your social type. And it's been a good chat with you to learn more about you and learn that you're not a sociopath. Yay.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad that it comes across. I try really hard not to be a sociopath, so thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, and I'll see you around the Facebook groups and whatnot.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.